So thank you so much, the CEO HRMPEB, the Secretariat, and all other students and stakeholders. Good morning.
Good
Thank you
morning.
for joining us. This is the CHRP Students Webinar Sensitization on booking of examination. And I want to take you through the program. First of all, we'll have an opening prayer from Mr. Luke Masinde, who is our Principal Test Development Officer. Then introductions from the MC, who is me, Ms. Lorena Seka. Then we'll have CEO's remarks on the June 2024 examination, that is CHRP Nicholas Kanisa FIHRM. Then we will have a number of issues being laid down by Dr. Leonard Kiragu, which is our acting manager, examination administration. He will be talking about June 2024 examination timetable, the examination centers, the progression rule, the minimum units one can book, the project guidelines. Then we will have our examination administration officer stroke the PA to the CEO speak about online self-examination booking, deferment and fee payment. Then we'll have a plenary session which will be led by the acting manager examination administration, and a closing prayer from a volunteer stakeholder. So thank you again for joining us. We will be brief on this, and on to our first item, which is an opening prayer. Mr. Luke Masinde, you're welcome. Thank you. Kindly unmute and pray for us.
Thank you, CCO Corporate Communication Officer, Lorena Seka. Let's pray. Our Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you for this morning, even as we gather in this virtual meeting. Lord, we pray that you shall take us from the beginning to the end, for you are the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. We honor you, Jehovah, for this day. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Luke Masinde, for that powerful prayer. The session has already started, and I can see we are almost 100 people, and thank you all for being here. So the next on the program is CEO's remark. The next person to present will be our CEO, which is CHRP Nicholas Kanisa. You're welcome, CEO, for your remarks on the June 2024 examination. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you, all the participants. Good morning. I hope you're fine.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Now, our students, I take this opportunity to welcome you to this webinar. It is an interactive session where we are communicating back to you on the recent happenings, on bookings, on a lot of issues happening. So find sufficient time. Let's concentrate for an hour or two. But Laureen is saying at most it should be 1 hour. We are proud of you. You are our primary stakeholders. We value you. We really value this relationship, because at the end of it all, we have a mandate to execute, to make sure that HR practitioners are well aligned, they are well trained and well examined. So we really, really value you. That's why we felt that we should be having these weekly webinars, so that then you are able to tell us what you expect of us. We are also able to tell you what our plans are, so that together we are able to move in the same direction. Generally, the last examination we had, we didn't have cases of exam cheating, and we are moving in that direction, because for the first time we didn't have any issues of exam cheating. So we are expecting that the cohort of June 2023 You also keep up the standard because cheating is not helpful to anybody. At the end of it all, our examinations are not all that complicated because ideally our curriculum was well designed. It is well executed. So what we test is mastery of content and also your grasp of the basic concepts. So don't strain to cheat in an examination. I remember when I did mine, like I've always told you, I did my CHRP when I was in West Pokot. I used to come to Eldoret for classes, and you can't believe I also failed too. I failed counseling and coaching, and I failed, I can't remember the other one. I know when you are referred, it's not a very good experience, but sometimes it is not that when you are referred, it doesn't mean that you are stupid or you are not bright. Sometimes preparedness, because I know most of you, apart from being students, you are also civil servants, you are parents, you are wives, you are husbands. All these require your attention. So sometimes when it comes to examination, you are not well prepared, which happens. Sometimes it may be that you didn't understand the question. So you gave the correct answer, but that is not what the examiner is looking for. So there are so many reasons why people don't perform well. So at any given time, if you are told if you are referred, not that we don't like you. It's not that you are thick. No, you are not thick. It happened to me. I had to recite 2 papers. It was not a good experience. It's human nature that sometimes you don't, when you are told to repeat, it's not a very good experience, but it happens. It's in the path of greatness. Then the last cohort had some issues with some examination centers. The facilities were in some areas not very adequate. So I want to give a commitment that as the management of the examination board, we have made arrangements to find alternative examination centers. So those who will sit for June examinations, we are consolidating and working out on a matrix. You'll be well advised on if there is a change in the examination center. And sometimes if you feel that it's not adequate, give us feedback. We are continuously looking forward to improvement. And we really want to make sure that you are comfortable as you undertake the examinations. Then, as you realize, we have implemented the ERP, the Enterprise Resource Planning software. And the essence of this is we wanted to professionalize the fees collection. We wanted also to make it easy for you to access your billing in real time. We also wanted you to get your marks immediately we release results, you are able to access. So that was the essence of implementing the ERP. And so far, we are fine-tuning whatever the loose ends, and then it will be full-fledged. So for those of you who have interacted, you've seen there is an improvement, and we will continuously seek to improve. Then, as you may be aware, I know you are doing a CHRP program. We have also, as an examination body and as a way of providing a growth path, a growth path encourage your people in the family as a profession, and maybe they don't have the working experience, they don't have the C+ for direct entry. Encourage them, let's get them to join, either from certificate or from diploma, so that then together we are able to grow within the HR space. This is our space, and I know sometimes there are people who ask, What's the future of HR? And sometimes there are people who discourage that instead of doing HR, do accounting, instead of doing this. From where we sit, you can't believe. The legal profession, and I'm not talking ill of, the legal profession is almost saturated. So you'll find in this space, lawyers are coming in. They want to be certified as HR together with what they have. Accountants are branching into HR. People in other fields are branching to HR because the HR space has a very, very bright future. So it's not that you made a mistake by picking this profession. It is a growing profession, and so long as there is organized labor, there'll always be demand for HR. Titles may change, but the concept and the essence of HR will always remain. So you didn't make a mistake. I know sometimes, even where I used to work, there are people who make fun at HR. What is the future of HR? You see, you don't limit yourself to the Kenyan boundaries. Sometime last year we were in Rwanda. There's a very big demand for HR professionals. For this program, the CHRP, we have got inquiries from Somalia. I think sometime this week we were in Wajir. We were accrediting an institution. There is demand for this qualification all over. We have students from Singapore, we have students from Saudi, we have students from UAE. So it's not that this is a small profession, it's a growing profession. So be proud of it, be proud of this space, because it's through you that we're able to build this organization and this space. Because you must be proud of your parents, you must be proud of, they may not be the ideal parents you could have wished, but these are the only parents you have. So this is a very promising space, very promising space. And I can assure you, it's only that we've come a bit late. The legal profession went ahead of us. The accounting profession went ahead of us. The medical profession went ahead of us. But it does not mean that they are better than what we do. So we are in this space. We will give you all the support you need, and also give us feedback. If there is anything you think we should facilitate you with, tell us. If it's possible, we will do it. The learning management system, just like we said last time, we want to give you as much material, as much guidance as is practically possible, so that you enjoy your experience as you do this course, so that then you will stand proudly and say, indeed, I went through this program, I have got value, and I will give value. On behalf of management, we give that undertaking, and also on behalf of the board, we are committed to this, to expand the space and give you the opportunities to excel and shine. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, CEO, for your words. Thank you so much. And just before I recap what the CEO said, kindly introduce yourselves on the chat box and ensure you tell us if you're a potential student, if you're a continuing student, if you're a dormant student, just kindly tell us on the chat. Also, tell us if you're a private or an institutional-based student on the chat, or any other comment, put it on the chat. We will be able to give out our views on the comments. So thank you so much. Our CEO has spoken, and he has emphasized on integrity when it comes to examinations. And he has talked about the ERP system, which helps us with the student services. So you are able to get all student services at the comfort of your homes. Then also he has encouraged all HRs who are here, kindly let us push our profession to the next level, and tell others to also do this to certify their HR profession. So let's bring other people on board. Then lastly, he has insisted on working together as students, and as management, he has said that the exam centers will be in good shape this time round. Without taking much of the time as we continue putting our reviews on the chat box, let us welcome our Acting Manager Examination Administration, Dr. Leonard Kiragu, who will take us through the June 2024 CHRP examination, and he will talk about the timetable, the exam centers, the progression rule, and the project. Thank you and welcome, Dr. Kiragu.
Thank you so much, our Corporate Communication Officer. Thank you again, HRP team, for giving me this opportunity. And good morning, all the participants. Good morning.
Good morning, Daktari.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good
Thank
morning.
you. Thank you. So the first item that I'm going to look at is the timetables, and then I'll report that the timetables for the old curriculum and the revised curriculum is available on our website. And these timetables are supposed to help you in picking the units that you will be sitting for in the June 2024 examination series. And therefore, when booking the exams, kindly refer to the timetable. We release the timetable quite early so that it may guide you in exam booking and in knowing which units you are going to pick. Then our examination centers are spread in Nairobi, Nanyuki, Thika, Eldoret, Nakuru, Mombasa, and in Kisumu. So we have 7 centers which are physical. And for the June 2024 examination series, we are also going to include an online examination center. Now, in Nairobi Center, previously, we used to use the Kenya Methodist University halls, but due to feedback from you, who are our esteemed clients, we are intending to change to a more convenient venue, and that one will be communicated to you in good time once we make the necessary arrangements and once we identify a convenient examination room or venue to all of us. Now, those who are in Nanyuki, our examination center remain the Kenya Institute of Management, that is KIM. Those who are in Thika, our examination center remain as Mount Kenya University. The same case to Eldoret, and also in Nakuru. Although in Nakuru, again, we are also intending to change. But then, once we finalize the paperwork, we are going also to communicate in good time. In Mombasa, our examination center remains the College of Human Resource Management. And in Kisumu, our examination center remains Maseno University. And then this time around, we are happy to introduce the online examination center, where you will be able to sit for your examination at the comfort of your office or the comfort of your home. You realize that with the global changes and what is happening, the world is moving to a digital village. And therefore, it is also important for us to align ourselves to what is happening in the global arena. And that is why now we have thought it's wise that examinations will also be taken online. And then we can report that there are measures that have been introduced to make sure that as you sit for the online examination, we are ensuring credibility of the exam. As the CEO had mentioned earlier, we are intending to maintain the credibility, and you also you desire to have a certificate that is authentic, that is credible, that can be relied on. And we have put in measures all those, we have put in place all those measures to ensure that there is no examination cheating that will emanate from the online examination. Then the next issue that I wanted to talk about is the progression rule. Now, examination booking is to be done on unit progression basis. That is, you should clear or book lower level units before you are allowed to book for the upper level units. Then from there, examination bookings, the minimum number of units that are allowed per booking or per examination series is 3 units, unless a candidate has less than 3 units remaining to complete the course. Then the maximum number of units allowed per booking or per examination series remains 6. However, we can allow a candidate to sit for 7 units if the 7th unit is a research project. Then then the last item that I am presenting is on project guidelines, the research project guidelines. And to fulfill the graduation requirement, each of our candidates will be required to submit an industry-based research project which demonstrates mastery of the knowledge, skills, attributes, and competencies required by a practitioner of human resource management. And the main purpose of this research project is to equip the HR profession with the knowledge, skills, and competencies required in thinking critically, solving challenging problems, analyzing data, developing skills such as oral communication, and having a glimpse of research skills, and also report or other report writing skills. Now, the industry-based project, as you are aware, comes at the end of the coursework, and it's a must that you take the industry-based project, which should aim to provide solutions to the practitioners, to the policymakers, and also to add to the existing body of knowledge in the field of human resource management. Therefore, as you undertake the research projects, it is important to note that your research project will be relied upon by other researchers because you'll be enriching the existing body of knowledge in HR. And then you should also come up with the policies, or rather with the recommendations that will help in policy and also at management level. Then I want to briefly take you through the requirements of the research, or rather the requirements of the research projects. And we have what we call the preliminary pages. The preliminary pages include the title page, where you include your topic, then the declaration that the project has not been submitted to any examination body or any education institution for award of any academic degree or program. Then the copyrights, that you are the author of that document. Then 4 is acknowledgement. Then 5, table of contents. Then followed by list of tables, list of figures. Then the abbreviation and acronyms that you have used. And then the last item on the preliminary pages is the abstract or executive summary. Now, for those who are taking the revised curriculum, it's important to note the items that you are supposed to include in chapter 1. Basically, in the old and the revised curriculum, the preliminary pages are the same. Also, the contents in chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and chapter 5 are similar. But now what distinguishes the old curriculum and the revised curriculum is the chapter 1. And in chapter 1, in the revised curriculum, you should have the background to the study. You state your problem, you state your objectives, which should be general, and then the specific. Then you come up with the research questions, then the significance of the research study, scope of the research study, and the limitation to the research study. So in chapter 1, in the revised curriculum, we have 7 items. But then when we go to the old curriculum, in addition to the 7 items in the revised curriculum, those who are taking the old curriculum are also supposed to come up with the delimitations of the study, then the assumptions of the study, the definition of, and then the definition of significant terms, and the summary. So I would like to say that when the research project is being marked, if you are an old curriculum candidate, then you adopt the guidelines for the revised, then you miss it. If you are in the revised, then you use the old guidelines, old curriculum guidelines, again, you lose some marks. So it's important to note the differences between the two. And I've said the differences are coming in chapter 1. Then that is what it should be in chapter 1. Then in chapter 2, 2.1, you have the introduction. Then the theoretical underpinnings of the research study. Then you do the empirical literature review. And as you review your literature, empirical literature review, then you are going to confine yourself to reviewing literature guided by objective 1, objective 2, objective 3, and your objective 4.
Daktari,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you briefly.
Yes.
Sorry. Maybe you can just go back again to chapter 1 for the new curriculum, if you don't mind.
Sawa. So these are the contents of chapter 1 for the revised curriculum. I've said we have the background, the problem statement, then the objectives of the research study. Then under the objectives, you have the 1 general objective and then 4 specific objectives. Then you come up with research questions. Then you state the significance of the research study, the scope, and finally, the limitations. That is for those who are taking the revised curriculum. And those who are taking the old curriculum, in addition to the 7 items under the revised curriculum, you are also supposed to include the delimitations of the study, the assumptions of the study, and the definition of significant terms, and finally, the summary. So in the old curriculum, we have 11 items, and in the new curriculum or the revised curriculum, we have 7 items. Chapter 2, before the clarification, the request for the clarification, we were on 2.4. After you review your literature, you are supposed to come up with a conceptual framework of your research study. And then finally, you give us a summary of the chapter. Then in chapter 3, it starts with the introduction. Then you state your research design, followed by the population of the study. Then you come up with the sample size and the sampling technique that you have used. Then the methods of data collection. Then the instruments that you are going to use. in the study, then how you are going to collect the data, that is the data collection procedures. Then you also state the validity and the reliability of your research instruments, then how you are going to analyze your data, and how you are going to present your data. And the last item under chapter 3 is what we call the research ethics, or the ethical consideration in the research study. Then in chapter 4, this is where you are going to analyze your data, and you discuss your data. That is data analysis, presentation, and interpretation. So you start with the introduction. Then you must give the results of your pilot study, how the response rate was. Then you do the biographic analysis or demographic analysis. Then in item 5, you analyze your study variables. And in the analysis in chapter 4, we expect 2 types of analysis. First of all, you should analyze your data descriptively. That is by use of simple statistics or descriptive statistics. That is like frequencies, percentages, means, standard deviations, and the rest. Then, after you analyze your study descriptively, then the last item is you analyze your variables using the inferential statistics. Yes, inferential statistics, that is where you measure the strength of your variables, and also you determine the direction of your variables. That one should be explained well by your research supervisors. Then I must also mention, before I move to chapter 5, that those who are institutional-based candidates, you'll be getting your research project supervisors from the institution where you are undertaking your studies. Then, those who are private candidates, we have introduced a system where, if you are a private candidate, we shall be allocating a research supervisor from HRMPEB. So it's important that you book and pay your unit very fast, so that you can be allocated your supervisor, or rather a project supervisor, who will be able to work with you until you are done with your research project. That is from chapter 1 to chapter 5. Then in chapter 5, contains a discussion of findings, conclusions, and recommendations. And chapter 5 comprises the following. Item 1, we have the introduction. Item 2, we have the discussions of the findings of the research study. Then we have the conclusion. Then item 4, we have the recommendations of the research study. And then item 5 is the implication of the research study on human resource practice. And then finally, you do the recommendation for further research. Then I'm almost done. The other thing that we need to talk about as far as the industry-based research project is the references. Your work should adopt the APA style of referencing. That is the American Psychological Association style of referencing. Then, finally, after you do the references, you also need to do to attach appendices. And the appendices, number 1 is your research letters, or the authorization from maybe your institution, and those who are private candidates, an authorization to carry out the project research from us. Then appendix 2, the research permit. This one is from NACOSTI. So you need to have a research permit from NACOSTI. Then Appendix 3, these are the data collection tools or instruments. If you are collecting primary data, then you use the questionnaires or the research guide. So you attach your questionnaire or your research, or rather your interview guide as an appendix. That is Appendix 3. Then Appendix 4 is you come up with a budget for the research work. Then Appendix 5 is a time schedule. Then Appendix 6, you need to do a plagiarism report, and your work should contain less than 20% of plagiarism. Don't submit work that is more than 20%. So ideally should be below 20, that is around 18 there, 17, 18 there. And the main reason why we are taking you through these guidelines is I've noted that this is where you lose marks, because if like in the appendix, if you don't attach all these appendixes, then you lose 1 mark or 2, which will contribute to a low performance. Then this is the last slide that I'm having. So that one says that I'm almost done. We have noted that some students are submitting research projects which are not relevant to the field of human resource management, while others are submitting over-researched topics, stroke areas. Before you come up with a research topic, ensure that it is a HR-based topic, because we are looking at even the topic. It should be relevant to the field of HR. Last time, there's someone who had submitted a project on effects of social media on marketing strategies. That is not a HR topic. And automatically, if you don't submit research-based, HR-based project, then you just lose the marks. So kindly ensure good human resource management research projects have been carried out, which will be significant to policymakers, human resource practitioners, as well as adding to the existing body of knowledge in human resource management, because we don't carry, or rather we don't carry research for the sake of it, but we carry research projects with a name of enriching the existing body of knowledge, and with also a name of our research project being significant to policymakers and human resource practitioners.
Kindly mute your mic, Daktari.
Yes?
Sharon, kindly mute your mic. Daktari, you may proceed.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for listening to me. And now I'm done. Over to you, the MC of the day, our Corporate Communication Officer, Loreen Aseka. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you are a co-host, kindly mute the people. If you are a co-host, kindly help me mute the people who are finance. Grace, kindly mute. Then if you are a co-host, kindly help me mute the people who are speaking. Thank you so much, Dr. Leonard Kirago, for taking us through comprehensively the project guidelines. Daktari has elaborated so many things, and he has talked about the June 2024 examination timetable, which he has clearly said that it will start on 12th June to 19th June. The examination centers, which he has talked about, and the minimum units to be booked, and the project guidelines. Thank you so much, Daktari. And kindly, those who are putting their questions in the chat, I will request the secretariat who are here to kindly help us answer the questions on the chat. There are so many of them. Some of them are questions that we can help the students get clarity on. So if you're here, kindly help just answering the question. So before we go to our next person, who is Mr. Alex Ondieki, the Examination Administration Officer, kindly I will ask Mr. Bradley to put the links of all our social media platforms on the chat. We are on Facebook, we are on TikTok, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Instagram. So kindly, our students, follow us on those social media platforms so that you can be engaged and know what is happening time to time. We are very fast on feedback there, and you will get to know what is happening. So kindly follow us there. So Mr. Alex Ondieki, you can now present, unmute and present. Mr. Alex will be talking about the exam booking. He will talk about deferment and also fee payment. Thank you so much and welcome, Mr. Alex.
Thank you, Lauren, for being our MC today. Good morning, everyone, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear. My name is Mr. Alex Ondieki. I'm the Examination Administration Officer and the PA to the CEO. Unfortunately, my camera has some technical hitch, but I'm sure you're able to see my portrait has projected in the screen, I believe. So this morning, I'll take you through the examination booking process. And where we are doing this is to allow all of you as our students to understand the student portal and how to access our various services through the student portal, and one of them being the examination booking process. But before I dig into examination booking process, I'd like to highlight very few critical issues so that to just divert kidogo to break the boredom. Number one, it's kindly ensure you join our WhatsApp groups where you get instant on the go updates. We have got 2 WhatsApp groups. We have WhatsApp channels, Facebook, so that then you are able to get these updates. And I believe in this current world we are living in, the social media has now become the new workplace, and where a lot of these communications are done with not necessarily the email addresses. So the links to our WhatsApp groups have been shared. But I'd also like to encourage you as our students, please to take part in the surveys that we share, because currently, you can agree with me, and I believe most of you are managers at your workplaces, and you know the power of using data in management. It's called scientific management, whereby we use statistics, factual data in making decisions. Some of the decisions the organization as CHRP have made, they are purely based on data. For example, in the past, students were asking, kindly make access to your services, accessible, not being affected by geographical location and all that. And we heed to that call. We have implemented the enterprise resource planning, which gives you the opportunity through the student portal to access our services from any point of this globe that you could be. So, and much of these decisions are purely based on the feedback that you are getting. And even as Daktari mentioned before about our exam centers, we listen, and we are in the process of finding, especially for those who have started exam from Nairobi, we have listened to you. We're in the process of finding a suitable examination center that gives you the ambience and the peace of mind for you to undertake that examinations. Like I can just mention, maybe I can just share quickly. Like last November, we did a survey right before exam. If you can see on your screen, it was titled November 2023 CHRP Examination Candidates Preparedness Survey. And much of the changes we have implemented in examination booking process even including a bit of the fees, such as private candidate administration fee, was based on the feedbacks that we received from these kind of surveys, particularly for students who are private candidates. All they were asking is that we need to be guided. We need reference reading lists where we can interact, have standardized materials where we can read. And most of them who gave feedback were saying, we do not mind even if we get that fee, something that we have heed to, and we are working on it through what we call now curriculum support resource center for our students, particularly not just for their private candidates, but also for institutional-based candidates, so that then we are able to standardize the training. And just a sneak peek of it, like in this question, we had asked students to indicate the level of preparedness in a scale of 1 to 3. And we can see here we had 10% who had indicated that they were not prepared. And about 90% of these students who had indicated that they were not prepared enough or they were not ready, there are those who were private candidates, and what they were saying is that we need to come up with a curriculum support resource center for them. And that is what we have responded. Equally right now, we are conducting, there is a continuing survey that we are conducting. It's titled CHRP Relevancy, Examination Administration Process, and the Quality of Service Delivery. So this survey is still continuing. We'll be sharing the link on this platform as we conduct this webinar. I request that you take part in this survey after this webinar, so that then the decisions we are making here are also purely based on your feedback. Thank you for that. I will dig into the issue, the main agenda now on examination booking process. So today, just like what we did last week, it will be a repeat. Mine is not a PowerPoint presentation, but rather a live demonstration on regarding the booking process. However, before that, I'd like to inform you that there is a guide that has been developed and it was shared. It is going to be shared also to your email address, so that then you have it for your records from which you can refer to. Just in case after this conversation or this engagement, you need somewhere to refer to, there is this kind of guide that is developed. So basically, I'll be taking you through this guide on how to book for examinations. You need to familiarize yourself with the examination, the master examination timetable. Lauren, please confirm if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Go on, Mr. Alex. We can hear you clearly, and I hope all others can hear you.
Thank you. So students, you are urged first, even before, for institutional candidates, for private candidates, before you begin your studies, kindly consult the timetable. It will assist you to avoid revising or preparing for 2 exams that will be happening at the same time. For instance, if you have financial accounting and counseling and coaching, you will not be able to sit for both subjects because they are being administered at the same time. So first thing, exam timetable. And on the exam timetable, we have provided some of the basic guidelines on how the booking should be done. And much of these guidelines here, it's what I'm going to demonstrate. Now, to the booking itself. So first, the easiest way to launch to our student portal is through our website. That is the easiest way. So once you log into our website, you'll find the option at the far top right corner, student portal, indicated student portal. From there, once you click there, you will land on the student portal site from where you'll be able to load or log into your account and proceed with the booking process. In the same process, even for those who aspire to register, you first create an account and submit your application. It is approved, and you become a student and you continue with the rest of the processes. So once you are in the student portal, you'll be allowed to log in to your account. So in this case, I like to give out a disclaimer that this being a live demonstration, I'll be using random student accounts for the sake of this demonstration. So kindly, just in case your name pops up. However, this is a test instance, so none of your data, just in case I use your account, none of your data is being interfered with. So once you land into your student portal dashboard, and just to give a brief very quickly on this dashboard so that then students get to understand, it gives a summary. Like in this case, you can see the students has registered for one course. The student has 7 exemptions. The student has not booked for any exam. If the exam has been booked and it was booked through the portal, it will highlight. The student has done 10 or has attempted 10 papers so far, or has had 10 attempts, not necessarily 10 papers, but 10 paper attempts. And on this, as a student, you are able to access various services, your student account, booked examinations, exempted papers. You can see the papers deferred, examination withdrawn, examination results here. Then once you filter on this filter, you're able to download your result slip. We are no longer issuing the old school result slips we used to, sorry to call it old school, or the former result slips. So now they are digitized. What you do is just you download and present your result slip for authentication if need be. And then even when you are paying, you have balances. You want to check whether you have a balance, renewal balance and all that. You click on student balance and you're able to check your balance. And in any case, you have a balance, even if it's 1 shilling, you'll have an icon on the next to the balance in Aquashiria where to make that payment. So on examination booking, on the left-hand side, on the main navigation panel, you are to select examination booking icon. As you can see on my cursor, click on examination booking, and then student booking, repeat examination booking again. You will land to student account, click on book exam. Kindly mute your mic. George, kindly assist me to mute those who are not muted. Thank you. So this is the first phase of the step 1 of 4 of the booking process. So here you will have to highlight the examination series. So that one is automated. You only find one series that is available. Mode of study. We have got 3 modes of studies. You are either an institutional student. In this case, you are enrolled and you are attending classes in one of the accredited CHRP training institutions. We have private. Here you are completely, fully studying on your own as a private candidate. And this is where we mostly encourage that if you're a student private candidate, and particularly if you are taking the project, then we require you to come on board and to start booking early in advance so that we have that information and we are able to guide you and even assign you supervisors in record time. And then we have the blend. This is basically a mix of private and institutional. It's much allowed. This was just to cure where if a student feels you've got 4 units you are undertaking and there is 1 unit you feel it's a bit technical, you would like to, to have a tutor and you wish to join in a school or in a college. So in that case, you are allowed to mix. This was also to cure. We had, it's one way we were responding to feedback to students who had failed. Students were indicating that I have failed in a paper had attended class and I wish not to attend class. I just want to study on my own so that I can do the exam. So then the blend option comes in handy. However, all these options, there is no option that is much better than the other. You are just advised to select the option that suits you better. So therefore, let's pick the private. If you are a private candidate, you will then, once you pick private, click on renew and book on the bottom right corner. You'll be taken to the next stage where you are required to select the exams that you wish to book for. Now, this is where the progression rule applies. So here you are to book for a minimum of 3 papers. Why the board came up with the minimum number of papers, we have had cases from our records. We have analyzed the data and we have realized there are students who just engage. One decides to book for 1 paper after the other. So mtu kama huyo ako na 22 units or 19 units and they are doing 1 paper. You can imagine how long they are going to stay around. We want students also to transit. As a board, there is a responsibility to come up with the rules and the regulations of how the exam is going to be structured and to be done. Just like other examination bodies, the courses are done per level. So here we decided that the course will be done at least 3 units, and these 3 units are the minimum or the total number of units per level. However, our progression rule is on unit progression basis, not per part or per level, which I will explain more on that. So here you are required to pick the papers that you plan to book. So here is where I kindly request you to take note that do not pick private candidates, especially because I believe institutional candidates, those who may not, this may escape you, you may get advice from the institutions. And that is at HRMPEB, we're also setting up a desk and office that is purely dedicated to private candidates so that then you're able to call in at any time for guidance. So if you try to book units and skip the upper level units, the system will not allow you to proceed to next. As you can see from this, the system is able to tell you that you must pick the preceding list unit. And in this case, it is unit number 12. So even if I picked 12 again and I skip, the system will inform me that I must pick 14. So once you get this error, you are required to click reload all papers. Click on reload all papers. If you don't click reload, it's just a button to refresh so that you refresh that error and you clean it up. If you don't clean it up, then you are not able to progress to next. Assuming I want to book just 1 unit to proceed to the next, the system will also bring you an error that the minimum number of units allowed is 3. So kindly be advised, even as you prepare, so that you are not shocked at the point of booking for exam. Even if you tried picking 2, still the system will bring you an error. The only period it will not bring you an error is if you have less than 3 units remaining. So you don't need to worry. There are those asking, I have 1, 2 units, and you are saying minimum 3. Yes, minimum 3, but the system is configured to look through to see what you have that is remaining. And at this point, the system also populates any paper that you are not exempted, any paper that you have not been examined, or any paper that you have been examined and failed. So any paper that you have been examined and passed or you already exempted will not populate at this point. So for those students, particularly those who have been registered under the revised curriculum, under the CHRP, or you applied through the portal, you've been awarded exemptions, you need to activate your exemptions by making that payment. Very late for you to pay those exemptions. Assuming it could be, there is possibility, like in this account I'm using to demonstrate, this student has been exempted unit number 12, hypothetically speaking. So if this student is exempted unit number 12, and they have not paid the exemption fee, the unit will populate here, and you will not be able to book for exam for the upper units that you are attending class or studying until you free this unit up by making that exemption fee payment. It is only when you pay that is when you activate the exemptions that you've been granted. Otherwise, they remain at that. So therefore, now assuming we are following the procedure on progression booking, then you are to submit the papers to move to the next step. And in this case, yes, it's good. The system is also reminding me on something that I had forgotten. Your case, paper number 17 and 12, they are happening at the same time. Allow me to go to the timetable. This is why I was saying, kindly, the first thing you need to consult is the timetable. You can see here on Tuesday, 13th, we have employee resourcing and leadership and corporate governance happening at the same time. And that's why I picked these two accounts specifically for ease of demonstration. So these two papers, if are happening at the same time, the system is configured also to inform you or to block you from continuing to book for those two papers. So therefore, you cannot progress. Now, that then becomes very difficult. Like in this case, for this student to progress to book without picking this unit number 12 or employee resourcing. So then it means that if this student wants to book for 6 papers, they will only be forced to pick unit number 12 and 14 and skip 17 like that. So these are challenges that we anticipated, and we have an antidote for this. Any student who will experience such challenge, kindly reach out to us and we'll be able to pick it up from there and to assist you to book for the upper papers that above unit number 17. And in this case, you are encouraged, if the two units are clashing, you are encouraged to book the lower level unit, that is number 12, so that next time you do 17. But then, as I said, we'll be able to assist you to bypass that progression rule from our end. But that will be done on case-by-case basis, where we are able to prove that indeed it is the timetable that is blocking you from following the laid down examination booking procedures. Where a student will, based on their own, will want or you wish that you skip a paper and it's not clashing, such cases are not allowed. So now, from this point, because the way the system is configured, because you can't even book two, that such student will not be able to proceed until we assist them. So allow me to log into a different account so that I'm able to proceed and demonstrate to the next stages. Alright, please confirm if you can hear me and if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, you're clear. We can be able to see your screen, Alex.
Thank you.
Yes.
So,
And before we continue, kindly, because of time, all the questions that are in the chat box, if you're a secretariat and you are able to answer those questions, kindly keep on answering them. Thank you so much. Go on, Alex.
Thank you, Lauren. So, in this case, I'll use a different account to be able to navigate to the next step of choosing the examination center. assuming you initiated a booking for one reason or the other, you didn't complete. The next time you log in, that data will be stored automatically. However, when you log in, the system will inform you that you have an existing booking application. So in that case, and also we have also guided you that on the sidebar of the navigation panel, you will locate the drafts. So in that case, you are supposed to go to drafts and examination booking process, select the drafts option, and the system will direct you to where you are able to edit your application. So in this case, you click in on edit. But if your intention, you had only remained, or your intention is to pay, or you had remained with the payment only, then you click on proceed to pay. But if you wish to make any change to your booking, then you click on edit application. So we are at this point. So this is a case where the candidate has only one unit remaining. As I said, when you reload, the system will give you the available papers that you have not met the requirements. So therefore, in this case, there is only one paper. Sorry. So sometimes you may encounter, it's normal, it's IT. As you can see, in this account, there is only one paper, but the system is insisting that you must pick at least 3 papers. So what you do in that case, you just refresh, you're able to navigate to the next phase. And the next phase here is mode of examinations. We have got 2 modes of examinations, physical and online. So you pick the one that suits you. The physical ones, it is the paper-based examinations. Online is going to be the online examinations virtually. And this time round, this is an exam where you are going to, unlike last time, what we did because of the queries that were raised regarding online examinations that were compromising the quality of the examinations, we have addressed them, and much of these approaches that we have put in place will be able to communicate, and therefore we'll pick from the data. For those who have picked online examinations, we will also conduct, we do an induction on how this exam is going to be done. But I just do a brief one in this presentation. So here you choose, if you choose fiscal, the system will require you to pick from which county. Assuming you are in Mombasa, you choose the examination zone, and then it's Mombasa town. So if you're in Mombasa, and maybe tomorrow if we have another center in, let's say, South Coast, Kunda there, we'll have those centers populate here. But for now, if a student is in Mombasa, we only have one exam center. That is in Mombasa town. I think it's around Moi Avenue, Harbour House at the College of Human Resource. So equally, you'll be able to pick the examination center. Not the exam center that of your choice, but you pick the available options as given by the system. Once you're at that point, you click select center, and then click next. The system will inform you that the center has been successfully submitted. Then you click next. At this point of next, we have got the you agree, called the declaration section. You agree to the terms and conditions, and some of these are just examination rules as they exist or as they may change. The summary of these examination rules, it's found on your examination sitting timetable. Other than the master timetable, the overall timetable that I have demonstrated earlier on, each candidate will be issued with an individual authority to sit for exam or a timetable, which will reflect the number of units and the time of the papers that you're going to sit for. So the next stage is payment. At this point, you'll get an invoice. Once you get the invoice, you are able either to download the invoice or print it for your records. Then once you are content, you proceed to payment. So at this point, you get a summary of all the payments that are done. The figure or the amount on the invoice is determined by various items. Number one, the mode of examination, the mode of study. So if you are a private candidate, your bill will be a bit different from that of an institutional candidate. Institutional candidates are not charged private candidate administration fee, but private candidates are charged, for example. Also, other than that, the mode of examination, if you pick online, the online examination will attract an additional charge, online exam administration fee of 10,000 per sitting. So other than that, the examination amount, if you book exam during late booking window, the amount will also reflect, which is 25% of the normal exam charge. The invoice or the payment summary, the total amount of fee that you are going to pay at the end of it here, will also check if you have any balance. Like in this account, you can see the student has a balance of 14,700. So therefore, that balance is also included. What else? Private candidate administration fee, you can see because the candidate picked is a private candidate. Project supervision fee item also will appear here if you are a private candidate undertaking the project. Only then will you be billed this item here. Equally, as I mentioned, the online examination administration fee will also you will be billed if you choose the online examination option as well. So therefore, at this point, you click on proceed to payment. However, you are first required to input the mobile number here. So you input the mobile number, then proceed to payment. At this point, the payment, the gateway is through the eCitizen. You can see here on my link, you can see it has switched from our website link to PesaFlow or eCitizen. So then here you are to pick the payment mode that you wish to make. If you select M-Pesa, it will again inform you to input your mobile number and then click on send. Allow me just quickly as I conclude on this item. Use a live instance, which I can see some bit of change, so that then you interact, you get to, I demonstrate exactly what you will get while making this payment. So currently, this has been updated as shown on your screen. And you can see the total fee that the students required here. It's the booking fee plus the balances and all that. You select the payment method that suits you, whether it is the bank, RTGS, or other banks are also part of this RTGS method. If it's M-Pesa, you select M-Pesa, proceed. Here, it's what I like you to take note that if you're paying through, there are two M-Pesa options here that you use. The instant STK push method, you are to click, you have been guided that click here to receive M-Pesa. So if you click complete, this complete is only available for this second option. But first, this one is where you initiate, and all you need to do on your phone is to enter the PIN. So once you initiate that, you input the number from which the payment is going to be made, then click initiate payment. The PIN will pop up on your phone requiring you to just enter the PIN. Other than that, the second option, if you experience, sometimes we are having downtimes, realize this is government payment gateway. And again, on the link, as I highlighted up there, you can see it is payments.ecitizen.or.go.ke. Some of these downtimes, as an examination board, we may not have much control on this. So if you experience a downtime with this payment option of the STK push, you are allowed to use the second option, whereby you will do the manual payment, the pay bill number. This code is very specific. As you see, this code here is configured to this amount. So if here you make a payment of 15,000 or 20,000 instead of 16,950, that payment will decline. You can only pay the exact figure. That is how this code is configured. Once you make that payment and it goes through, then you click complete. So that marks the end of the whole booking process, but I've only demonstrated for a private candidate. So quickly, I'll only demonstrate for institutional and a private candidate at that stage alone, but not to the very end of the process to payment, so that then you understand if you select private or institutional, what other information are you required to provide. So at this point, as I've gotten to payment, please note that if you make the payment, then that application is considered complete and you will not complete the booking process. Leave it open until when you are sure, so that then you avoid incurring unnecessary costs in form of examination deferment for reasons such as something that you will have edited. Even as we are happy when you defer exam on other grounds that are beyond your control, but not on grounds that are within your control that you ought to have prevented, and then you end up incurring a cost. Because the moment your application is processed, you can only change it through deferment or withdrawal of the unit. So to avoid that, make sure that you are very sure of the booking before you submit it. Just a minute, I demonstrate on an institutional student what you are to do, or the additional information that you are supposed to provide. So in this case, edit application, it will take you to the first page again of the process. Here, under mode of study, you select institutional if you're in class. Then you'll see that the second option that comes up is you are required to indicate your training institution. Make sure you select the training institution accordingly where you are attending class. And please note that the data you give here will be subject to verification between the board and the training institutions. Equally, if you pick the blend option, you will also be required to select the training institution where we want to know where are you blending at. If it's that 1 or 2, 3 units out of the 6 that you are attending class, where are you attending class at? So for blend or institutional, you must pick the training institution accordingly. So if you are a blend student, you will be allowed to, you must select at least 1 unit where you are blending at. So if you can't select, that's what I want to demonstrate quickly here as I conclude. Assuming this candidate is taking the blend mode of study, you'll be required then to pick the institution, renew and book. And like the other booking that I demonstrated, you will notice that in this blend option, we have got 2 rows. There is this 1 row here, and there is a training institution row. So here, if you are doing all these 6 units or you want to sit for the exam and you are blending some units here, the requirement is that if you choose that option, you must at least pick at least 1 unit which you are attending institution or training for the system to allow you to go to next. Secondly, you cannot again pick all of them that you are blending all these units. Otherwise, that becomes pure institutional based candidate. Equally, the system will not allow you. You can only pick either. You cannot pick all, and you cannot miss to pick at least 1. And I think that marks the end of my presentation on examination booking. I would like to just demonstrate very quickly on 2 things. Number 1, online examinations, what is expected of you as an online candidate. And then secondly, I will talk on what we call assessment. So online, all candidates who will book for online examination will be required to abide by some regulations or rather measures that the board has introduced to ensure that the online examination meets the required standards. And one of these requirements, Lauren, I'm on YouTube. I want to share some short video. Are you confirm if you're able to see the video?
Yes, we are able to see it.
Thank you.
Alex, you can go on.
So here, as a student, you'll be required to have, other than your webcam, which is the front-facing camera of your computer, you'll be required to have a 3rd camera. When we talk camera here, not necessarily that you have to invest in high cost. The mobile phone, the smartphone that you have will come in handy. Or what you need to do is to place it at a position where we are able to see you at a 360-degree angle, and particularly see your keyboard and your screen and the environment around you. So allow me to play this video so that then you have a feel of what we will require of you. Because if you do not meet these requirements, you will not be allowed to proceed with the examinations, or you may be locked out of the exam midway. Thank you. So allow me to demo. Thank you. That marks the end of that short presentation. So you have a feel what is required. We must have that 360-degree angle of your environment, or that is the exam environment. And if there are other subjects that you are undertaking that require additional materials, such as mathematics, you have a rough work or any other material that may be needed at that time, we must be able to see the proctor or the invigilator, the online examination invigilator should be able to see all that. And then lastly, and this marks the end of my presentation, is the item on continuous or formative assessment. Going forward, and heeding to your call on feedback, we have received before feedback, students from other training institutions indicating that they like to have revision kits because perhaps for one reason or the other, they felt that the institutions they were attending at were not giving them adequate value for the fees that they are paying. And for that reason, we have come up with learning guides, or rather the curriculum support resource center. This is a form of LMS, learning management system, that will give you access to the curriculum support materials. This will include the learning guides, the revision kits, the curriculum itself. So as you revise, you are well guided, regardless of which institution you are attending class, whether you are a private candidate, whether you are blending, whether you are within the boundaries of Kenya or outside from wherever you are. And for that reason, we have centralized. We want to give you more support. So with this Curriculum Resource Center, also students, all the students, CHRP students, whether in the old curriculum, revised curriculum, whether you're an institutional or private candidate, you'll be required to undertake compulsory, continuous self-assessment. This will be demonstrated in our next webinar, I believe next week, on this Curriculum Resource Center, or rather the LMS, on how these formative assessments will be done. So for us to make it compulsory, please note that we'll ensure that we leverage on technology to make it compulsory. As a board, it is not just the paper that you need. It is the whole process that goes into you getting this certificate that matters the most, not the certificate itself. And for that reason, the assessment is compulsory to ensure that every candidate prepares adequately, guided by the examination board requirements. So therefore, these assessments will be made compulsory, and for you to activate your examination timetable, to access that authority to sit for exam, there will be two conditions. One, you ought to have nil balance for you to have access to your timetable. Two, you ought to have done the assessments for all the units you have booked for. So we are going to implement this. So please be advised. And these assessments will come in form of questions at the end of each topic or at the end of each subject you will be required to undertake. And this assessment will not be supervised. And as I said, it will be self-compulsory, continuous assessment. That marks the end of my presentation. Back to you, Laureen. Thank you. Lauren, you are muted.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for that comprehensive discussion on exam booking. And now we will go to our session. But before we go to our session, there's just one thing that I'd love you to... Can you hear me clearly, Alex?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, just a minute. Okay, I was saying that thank you so much for that presentation to our... Kindly, if you have any questions, because most of them on the chat box have been answered, just raise up your hand, and Alex and Dr. Kiragu will take the session, will be able to answer all your questions. So just raise up your hand. I will see your hand, and definitely I'll be able to call you in. But I'd love you to take this one question that I wanted you to combine. The question reads, Alex, before we start taking the questions from the students, kindly explain the difference in charges for private and institutional candidates, and also for HRMP physical and online students, as these charges will inform our decisions on whether we will join as institutional based or private candidates. So as others come on board with their hands, because most of the questions on the chat box, the Secretariat have tackled them. So kindly you can answer that. Then I have taken people's names on how they've raised their hands. We pick up from there. So you answer that. Then if there's any that you think that has not been answered on the chat box, you can also take that. Then I've picked the names of students who've raised up their hands and how they raised up. So we will be going. Hamid, you'll be the first one. Emmanuel, then Sharon, Martha, Pauline, and Carol in that lineup. So just be ready to ask your questions, but as they go ahead to ask, Alex, kindly you can just give guidance to the students so that they can make informed decisions as they book for exams. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren. So on the question regarding the charges, just I prefer when I answer some of these questions, I demonstrate sometimes by way of evidence for the sake of our students to understand. Give me a moment. I'm looking for some document here. There is, as I look for some document to answer that question. Oh, thank you. I got it. Okay.
Can you hear me? Alex?
Yes, I can
Yes,
hear you,
now we
Lauren.
can hear you. Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Thank you. Now, to answer the question on the charges, charging differences between private and institutional candidates, the only difference, the charge that applies to private candidates, it's private candidature administration fee. We have curriculum support material fee, which applies for all students, whether you are an institutional student or a private candidate. So the support material fee, this is a fee that has been there, but as a board, we were not able to administer because where we were, some of these requirements, you agree with me, it requires a system in which you are able to implement. So with the adoption of technology and operational digitizing our processes, we are now, as a board, is able to implement some of the items that were captured or envisaged in the fee structure that were not able to be implemented. One of them is the sale of publications. And as you can see here, in this fee structure that went through the due process effective January 2022, the syllabus cost is 500, past paper 200, revision kits per set it's 1,000. So the total here is 1,700 shillings. As I said before, we were not able to implement this. With the system, and now that we are able to implement this, however, we also went ahead and the fees was reduced from 1,700 to 1,200. So it is well captured here, the curriculum support material fee, and that's why someone is speaking. Isaiah, kindly mute your mic. George, please assist me to mute Isaiah. Just pardon, allow me to mute. Thank you. So
Hello, Alex. We cannot hear you. You've
thank you,
muted your
Lauren.
mic. You
Sorry.
can go on, please.
So what I'm saying is that the curriculum support material to institutional candidates, and it was well envisaged. It is existent in the fee structure. So that is 1,200 per per subject or per module or per paper. And that goes in to assist you, whether you are a training, as I mentioned curriculum support resource center, and this is for all students, which comes with the assessment and the learning guides, the curriculum and all that. So that is the only fee that has been introduced, and actually it's not introduced. We have only been able now to implement it. We were not able to implement it before. So other than that, the private countries are charged private country administration fee of 2,500 shillings. And as I mentioned, we have actually set up, we are in the process of finalizing setting up an office that is purely dedicated to these private candidates. And all these elements of being able to give you a good experience, they have a cost implication, and that has to be shared within the student and the board. You realize institutional candidates, they are also guided at the training institutions, an element that private candidates may lack. I think I've answered that question. The other fees, such as online examination, those are now options for a student to pick. Initially, the online examinations was envisaged that student who is outside the country. Like in the last sitting, there were students who were sitting the exam one from Japan, one from Oman, and another one from Dubai. And then we had another one from Sudan. And we have students in Mandera, Wajir, in these far end places. That is the first target of the online examinations. However, when we adopted this exam, we realized most of the students who were actually taking up these online examinations were within even the CBD, where they can walk into the physical examination center. But because of the convenience that comes with these examinations, a student who is in Oman will not travel all the way to Kenya to sit for exam, but they'll conveniently, and if I'm in Mandera, to pay the 10,000 shillings administration fee to allow me to sit for that examination. But because of the convenience, whoever or a student who wishes to sit for this examination, whether you are within the vicinity of the examination center, but you decide to sit for online examination, you will have to incur a cost for that convenience. And it's not just to punish you, but because there is an infrastructure that will be established or is established. We talk of proctoring, investment in a computer lab to be able to proctor the exam. And also we have responders. These are softwares that are costly. And for that reason, that is why the online exam administration fee was introduced. But as I mentioned, your invoice will be dependent on the mode of study that you pick and the mode of exam that you're going to take. Thank you. I think I've
Thank you, Alex.
exhausted
Thank
on
you.
that.
Yes, thank you so much, Alex, for that. So Hamid Said, kindly unmute and ask your question, followed by Emmanuel Ochieng. We will take those two questions, Emmanuel Ochieng and Sharon Bogo. We'll take those three questions, then Alex and Dr. Kiragu, you can answer the questions. Welcome, Hamid Said.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll start by appreciating the CHRP for creating this forum for us to address our concerns and issues. So my question will be directed to Dr. Kiragu because it's about the project. In his presentation here at chapter 1, he had outlined the steps differentiated between the new curriculum and the old curriculum in chapter 1. Now, my concern is according to the information that I was provided for in my training institution, it seems to conflict with what I have just we have just been taken through today. So I would like to more clarification on the same, and also to know if this is the standardized guidance which has been shared also with our institution, so as to avoid the misinformation.
Thank you so much, Hamid. I know that Dr. Kiragu has taken your question. Emmanuel Ochieng, you're next.
Yes, I have three questions actually. The first question is, if an individual student has notes and can access them from whichever the place he can access them from, why would that student be subjected to a payment of learning materials by you guys, yet that student can access notes from whichever the place he can access them from? The second question is, on the assessment. You've talked about an assessment which you were saying is compulsory. I don't know why, but does that assessment have a trickle down effect on the final examination, results, and on the 1,200 which is supposed to be paid? Is it per paper or it's for the entire learning material? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. We've taken down your question. Alex will answer that. Sharon, go on, unmute yourself and ask the question.
Good morning. First, I'd like to thank you for the nice presentation. My question is with regard to the continuous assessment test. Alex has said that it will probably be after each topic or after a subject. And then you'll have to have had a nil balance in your portal. So my question is, or my suggestion would be, you kindly let us know which month or which date the continuous assessment test will be for proper planning. Then we can also pay and ensure we have a nil balance. And then it's also important because it can also clash with the trainings that we have. And then you might not be able to sit for the continuous assessment test, which can be very detrimental to us. So what I'm trying to say is kindly let us know when exactly will be the dates for the continuous assessment test, if there'll be a particular time so that we can plan ourselves with regard to money and work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Those are a total of 6 questions, which will be taken by Dr. Kiragu and Alex. Kindly, Hamid, Emmanuel, and Sharon, put your hands down so that we know the ones who are remaining. Thank you so much for your questions. Dr. Kiragu, kindly answer Hamid's question, followed by Alex answering Emmanuel and Sharon.
Thank you so much.
Let me kindly mute if you're not speaking. The person who's speaking, kindly mute. Let me see who it is.
Lorraine, kindly help us to mute the person who is talking. Thank you. Now I want to address the issue of the projects, and the question was that the guidelines that we have issued are not the guidelines that the training institutions have. And to answer this is that we have done a communication to the training institutions, one on the new, or rather the revised curriculum, and the second one on the old curriculum. And I want to believe the training institutions have this information, and your research supervisors will guide you accordingly. So there is no any conflict. Thank you. Maybe I also answer about on a formative assessment, why it is being done. Now, number one, we want to get feedback. It was a recommendation from the KNQA. Remember that the KNQA are the regulators. They are our regulators, and they required us to get feedback and to also assess the preparedness of our candidates in sitting for the final exam. And the only way you can assess whether the candidate who is sitting for the exam is well prepared or has covered the content that is supposed to be covered is by having formative assessment. And as Alex had pointed out, these formative assessments are compulsory, and before you are allowed to print the final examination card, you must have done those self-assessment. It is also important for you because they also give you feedback on your preparedness for the final exam. And then the other question was on whether the 1,200 shillings is per paper or for all the materials. The answer is it is per paper. And then the petition is the law of learning. So I will still repeat what Alex had said. Actually, we have not increased the fees. We have simply realigned the fees. These fees took effect from 2022. It is only that we had not implemented because probably we didn't have the systems, but now the systems are in place, and that is why we have implemented these fees. So there is nothing new. We are just implementing. And then he had also pointed out, if we had to go by what had been approved by the board in 2022, the total cost could actually have been 1,700, but then we have reduced it to 1,200 per paper. Then the formative assessment is again, as Alex had indicated, they are continuous and they come after each and every topic. Then, as per the timeline, somebody had asked the timeline or whether you are going to timetable it or when you are supposed to have done them. Now, it will depend on your individual case. You just sit for those formative assessments at your own convenient time. But the way they are arranged is you take topic 1, then you do the formative assessment, then you go to topic 2. So they are continuous, such that by the time you are almost now opening the portal for you to print the exam card, then you should have completed all the formative assessment. Thank you. Maybe Alex, if there's something that I've left out, maybe you can take over and answer or clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Daktari. Thank you, Daktari. Actually, you've done it so well. But I'll just add, I begin with Sharon's question, just for further clarification. And then before I move to Ochieng's question. The balance I mentioned is the condition set for you to access your examination timetable. The nil balance is not a requirement for you to do the assessment. It is a requirement for you to access your examination sitting timetable or exam card. In other words, we also call it authorities to sit for exam, not to sit. The moment something is made compulsory, then now we don't regulate it. Because either you take the assessment or not, it is compulsory. So therefore, it is not a condition for you to do the card. And again, the key word here is continuous. So you are undertaking it as an institutional candidate, you log in. Actually, we are going to onboard all of you by end of this month. All students will be onboarded to the Curriculum Resource Support Center. So at this event, even if you are attending class, at your own time, if you have completed that part 1, topic 1 or topic 2, you log into this resource center and you undertake that card. And why we are doing this is to ensure that the board takes a firm grip in regulating the examinations and ensuring that the exam, it is not just a paper, but the process that goes into it. And actually, part of the reason that is being done, as I demonstrated before, and I like to demonstrate here, in this survey that we took in November, you can see here, the question was the level of preparedness. You can see only 32.1% of students indicated that they were ready and prepared. But a whopping 67.9%, that is 57.9, who were not sure, they are neither here nor there, and 10% who indicated that they are not completely prepared. There was need to manage this scientifically. And for that reason, the continuous self-assessment is not to punish any student, but to ensure that you are well prepared, you are guided within the regulations of the examination board. So it will be compulsory, whether private or institutional, you log into the Curriculum Resource Center or the LMS and you take those continuous assessment continuously. But the requirement will be, even if you complete this continuous assessment a week to exam, so be it. But the system that will require you, the same way you saw when I was demonstrating examination booking, there are conditions set. Therefore, we are also setting that condition that before you access that exam card of yours, you ought to have undertaken these assessments. It is to ensure that these 67, almost 70% of students who indicated they are not prepared enough and the feedback they gave on not being well guided, it is responded to and a better strategy is taken, and that is the strategy to be taken. And then on Ochieng's question, I'll just highlight that why, if I have materials, why are you forcing me to undertake? You cannot register for a program. The board in its mandate to develop curriculum, to examine, to administer the exam, and to certify professionals, all this must be done within a regulated environment. So therefore, part of the requirement is that you have to use, just like training institutions, they are going to use the learning guides to ensure that a training institution in Moyale, the learning guides that are used to teach the CHRP curriculum or to deliver the curriculum is the same learning guide that is used down in an institution in Kisumu, and is the same learning guide or is the same material used by the private candidate. This is a matter of regulations. Thank you. Lauren? As we wait for
Thank you so
Lauren,
much, Alex. Thank you so much, Alex. Emmanuel, I think you've been answered. Our next is Martha, Pauline, and Carol. Unmute, ask your questions.
Can I go first?
Thank you. This is
Yes,
Martha.
Martha, go on.
I want to take this opportunity to thank HRMPEB and all the employees there for the great work you're doing. Let me appreciate that every time I send an email to you, respond to it on time, and I'm able to progress on my studies. Thank you so much for that. I had 6 questions, but a few have been answered from the previous answers. But for clarity, the 2,500 under the private candidate, can you clarify whether it's per now the paper or it's per, let's say, the semester until you do your exam for that sitting? Can you clarify on that? Then, when you are clarifying about the quiz, you say that it's per topic. When I have looked at it and I know how I did my revision last semester and I was able to pass all the papers, by going topic by topic, I feel like this will be such let me not say tedious, but committing task for the learners. And let me give an example. There's the paper I did, and most of the papers had about 12 to 13 topics. So if we are talking of doing quiz per topic, let's say minimum every paper having 10 topics, and you have about 6 exams to sit, you have six papers you're going to sit for. It means within a span of 6 months, you are tasked to do about 60 quiz. That means an example like myself, I was following this training when I was halfway working. I'm being called in the office, I'm receiving calls. But imagine such a life, and you're also a parent, and you have 60 quiz to sit for. It's okay, I have seen also the research from the survey you did. I understand where this is coming from. But I think it's good we rethink the quiz process.
my thinking, if you can maybe put up maybe 2 to 3 quiz per paper, and maybe within the quiz is when now you're going to feature questions featuring all the topics. That way, it will give even us candidates time to learn and also be prepared for the exam. But having to sit for 60 quiz, I feel it will be very stretchy for anyone who is taking these exams. So I guess that's all for now, because most of the questions I had been previously. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Martha. Pauline, you're next.
Thank you. And thank you once again for this session where we are now having to engage. Coming from the conversations that we've had and the changes that you have actually introduced, I have a feeling that as a board, we are trying to micromanage institutions where we insist that even students who are attending classes in institutions must pay and undertake some of these exercises. A good example, I have been attending my courses at CHRM for all the papers that I've sat so far. CHRM does a very good job of actually even giving us assessments after each and every topic and exercises, just to monitor whether we've understood the contents of the topics or not. Other than that, I also participated in the survey, and I remember I am among the 37%. Notwithstanding that I attended my classes 100%, and actually even participated in group work and some of these assessments that you are doing. So I have a feeling this level of preparedness that came up in the survey should not be a factor for the board to now go down and start micromanaging institutions, including students. Most of us are working, and I've had numerous engagements with your office because at some point, because of our jobs, we can't even do exams. I've sat in classes 100% to the end, and due to our commitments, I've had not to sit exams at the very last minute. So having us or compelling us to sit some of these cards might be a problem. Remember, as a board, we are encouraging more professionals to actually achieve compliance in HR. And yet some of these things that you're introducing are going to discourage most of us, and we are going to run away. I have only 2 units remaining as it is, but I feel sorry for those who are coming after us, because this is going to discourage so many professionals who are already working and most probably do not have CHRP. And I've seen the conversations going around this course in the numerous platforms that I am in nationwide. This is going to discourage many people. Remember, it is not just students who've come from high school or college who are doing CHRP. We have serious people who are working and they are busy. This is an additional requirement for some of us. It will not be fair at all, including insisting that we must pay to access curriculum materials. We have students in the classes I sat in, we have students who failed. They have all the revision materials, including the revision papers from the time CHRP started being administered. Why now do they have to pay per unit to access these materials, which they already have? Personally, in the last sitting, I sat for exams for units whose classes I had attended in 2022. I had all the materials. If this scenario applied, then it means I would have had to pay for materials which I already had access to. So I think some of these things or the changes that are being implemented, we need to go back and sit with the people who are affected and get to understand where are we coming from. CHRM, sorry, I'll use CHRM because that is where I've been since I started. They are doing a very good job in ensuring that we are well equipped for this exam, and not just the exam, and also for the market. I think as a board, we need to sit back and see what is your mandate, because we are getting confused. You seem to be doing more of what the colleges should be doing as compared to supervising the colleges and ensuring standards are met. I'm sorry, but that is my feeling as of now.
Thank you, Pauline. We take feedback. Carol, Caroline, go on. Kindly, I'm not taking any more hands up. After Carol, we'll just have Jason because we've taken more than 2 hours. We'll have Jason. Redmi, I'm not able to give you a chance because you need to input both your names on the chat. Then Stanley, Sarah, Nicholas, Yvonne, then lastly Wanja. Kindly, I'll not take any other hand after Wanja. Those are the last people. So Carol, kindly go on, and Pauline, you can lower your hand. We've had the feedback. Carol, kindly,
Thank
then
you very
Jason.
much. Thank you very much, Lauren. Thank you to the HRM PEP team, and thank you for taking time to speak to us and allow us to also contribute. I also want to appreciate that the online examination system is efficient. I've not had any hitches. And also when I call the office, I've always been assisted very efficiently. So I appreciate that. Mine is not necessarily a question, it's a comment. And I want to second what Pauline has said and strongly call out all the students, especially those who are professionals and who are parents and who are pursuing their professional advancement and development. The changes that HRM PEP has introduced, they are too many and too soon. You started by giving us the progression rule, which we understand, and we have actually using it, and we have applied it. I've already booked for my exams. But after booking, now you have added this 1,200 shillings that you're saying that you have implemented, that it was there, you've only implemented. Then now you have added another change. We all understand the issues around change management. So when you add so many changes, and I booked exams already for June, I need to add an extra 6,000 shillings to the already amount fees that I had booked on. And now you're telling us that this is an implementation. I want to ask you to reconsider. We are going to pursue this. We are not going to stop here. We want you to really go back and really reconsider the figures, reconsider the cuts that you're saying. And just like they have also said, and I'm just doing this to emphasize, I am also a student of CHRM since 2022. I have also sat for my classes 100%. And CHRM has done a good job in preparing us for exams. We have access to our lecturers. We have an LMS system that is also very efficient. We have an office. And so I don't see why I still need to pay again for extra materials, why I need to sit for another extra cuts. I also want to emphasize on the issue of your mandate. For me, what I understand, HRM PEP, your examinations is your mandate. Why you're following up on these other issues, we really don't understand. So help us and please reconsider. That's my petition. Please go and reconsider these changes that you are giving us, because they are actually adding extra stress to already the workload that we have. Just like the others have said, we are parents, we have other aspects in the society, we have other commitments, and this is something we are pursuing to better ourselves. So adding extra changes like these ones are really just adding extra stress, and it's really not going to help us. We have had a very good results in the previous exams, the November exams. I really wanted to be able to perform the same way in the coming exams in June. So help us and please listen to us. For example, you can send out that survey that you're saying. You should not make a decision from few students and make a decision and make it compulsory for all of us, all over the nation, because of a few people who are not prepared for their exams, really. If they fail, they will receipt. I think that is there. So please give us the poll again. Give us those questions again and let us comment and let us give us your opinion, our opinion, so that you're saying we are stakeholders. I'm sorry, I'm really feeling upset by the changes you're introducing too soon, and I'm already planning for June. So thank you very much, and thank you for hosting this webinar. Asante.
Thank you, Carol. We've had your feedback. The others who are coming on board, kindly, we've had what you have to say. Please, let's not repeat it. The feedback is well in and we've had. If you have a question that is burning, that is away from what we've discussed, that is what we are encouraging that you ask. Any other feedback on the fees and the changes, kindly, we've had your feedback. So Jason, gone. Carol, you can put your hand down. Thank you.
I also want to raise my voice on that issue. especially for me, I'm registering as a private candidate. And I think that administrative charges should be done away with completely. It doesn't make sense to me because some of us, we are working. I don't have time ya kupigia mtu simu. And I don't even have time to do those kinds of assessments. So that's number two. Imagine I'm working from 8 to 5, then you expect me to come and do assessments after 5. I think let's be realistic on certain issues. Most of us are working class. So you can't expect me now to go back to kwenda kufanya cut, and I'm registering for a private. We need to, first of all, to define what a private candidate is. So I don't see why the rationale of imposing such kind of charges to private candidates. It's been unfair. You can imagine mtu ameamua kwa hiari yake kwamba hataki kwenda kwa institution because of one or two challenges, and yani kupunguza hiyo gharama, and then here you are imposing, it means that person might have anaweza kuwa discouraged, awachane hata na hiyo story. Anasema sasa kama ni hiyo charges mumeweka, si afadhali kae mtu anaenda kwa kufanya, anaingia kwa profession nyingine. That's all.
Thank you so much, Jason. We hear your feedback. We will be able to come back to you. Stanley Chumba, kindly unmute and speak. Redmi Note 11, kindly write your full names so that we know who you are before you put up your hand. But Stanley Chumba, we only have 3 people to go. Sorry for taking this long. Unmute and speak. If Stanley is not around, Sarah, kindly unmute and speak.
Yeah, good afternoon. I want to say that there is a question on trying to book, but there is an error that this has to be communicated from the board. So if that can be looked at, and as much as we are saying that we should not repeat ourselves, I think this is an emphasis because the reason why some of us took the private candidate is because of the flexibility and the low cost that was attached to that. So really, as my colleagues have said, go back to the drawing board and get feedback that will accommodate all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nicholas, we only have 2 people to go. Sarah, you can put your hand down. Nicholas, unmute and speak.
Thank you, Lorraine. I really appreciate for giving me this opportunity. Well, I think we are at a point where HRM is trying to forcibly, or I don't know how I can describe it, but you guys are at a point whereby you this profession, because there's no way you can ask me to start sitting for cards. Yet I've had all the days in the office, and despite that, we also have other duties. Some of us, we are parents. I think it's something that is not going to work. Number two, of introducing payments that you're supposed to pay, I feel it's not proper, because first of all, we have institutions, and as one of us has said, I am pursuing this at CHRM, and I think what they are giving is more than enough to not maybe say that I would incur other costs into getting some other things. I think this is not proper, and it's not really going to work. And to that point, I feel maybe if HRM is at a point whereby they feel that they'll just make decision and force us to go by those decisions, then I think we as students and as stakeholders, then we have to file a petition for this, because it's not really gonna work. On cuts, for example, I sat for the NEC exams, and since that I hold a diploma, and since I started this, there's no point whereby NEC has forcibly forced that I should sit for exams. Then it's like it's containing part what should come out as my end results. I think this one is not proper, and I'm sorry to say that if HRMPEB is gonna force us to go that way, then we'll just have to file an official petition, because we are the ones who are going to suffer as a result of some of these changes that HRMPEB is. And to that point, us who are just supposed to take that action, maybe for the sake of others who are to come also. Thank you so much. And I'm really if maybe my opinion or such as in one way being rude or something. I'm really sorry for that, but that's my position. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicholas. We hear you, and that's why we have these engagements. Wanja, you can unmute and speak. Yvonne is the last person. If Wanja is not around, Yvonne, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Mine is just to emphasize that HRMPEB needs to be very clear about its mandate. My experience with examining bodies is that their mandate is on offering exams. I have gone through CASNEB examinations, CS. I have gone through CLE examination for law. So I can imagine CLE does not then engage into the business of teaching. It allows the examining body, which is law school, to do that. CASNEB, the same. It allows all these other institutions to get into the business of teaching students, examining them, CATs, all that. So HRMPEB needs to be very clear about that. Revert back to its role, which is offering exams, because you might end up confusing roles and overstepping mandates, which will lead into a lot of things. And I think this forum has highlighted the issues that your stakeholders are facing as a challenge with these changes that are being brought ahead. It is very important that you listen to them.
Thank you so much. Nicholas, Stanley, and Judith, kindly put your questions on the chat box.
Malima, I just need a clarity.
Okay. Just Nicholas, the last one. Then Stanley and Judith, put your
Lauren, you'll give me 1 minute, kindly.
Yes.
Kindly.
I needed a clarity.
Okay. Then this is what we will do. Nicholas, Stanley, and Judith, you'll be the last people. Kindly, no one else should carry their hands up. Then afterwards, Alex and Dr. Kiragu will sum up the session so that we can close. We started this session at 10. It's almost 10 minutes past 12, and it's almost 2 hours. We had promised our students who are working for just an hour of engagement. So Nicholas, kindly, I'm giving you just 30 seconds, Stanley 30 seconds, Judith 30 seconds. Kindly, go on.
Malimu, thank you. Thank you very much. And I just want a clarity. The 1,200 you are paying is for the cut. Because if I'm being
we will clarify
I'm studying
then.
in an institution already, which I'm doing even the assignment and everything, and I'm paying for it. Do I need again to pay to you, to your institution again to do another exam? Because I'm waiting for the main exam that is being offered from you.
Okay,
Maureen,
Nicholas, we will clarify. Okay, yeah, okay,
Maureen,
Alex,
allow
kindly
me to
clarify.
because that is a quick one. And I think it's good that we regulate the engagement so that we don't end up repeating some of the items that we have elaborately, precisely, and concisely explained on. For example, what is the 1,200 shillings for? That one has been well explained, that it gives you access to the Curriculum Resource Support Center, which includes the learning guides, the revision kits. You will have access to the e-library. You will have access to the assessment. So that is the purpose of 1,200. And I also justified, I projected for those of you who may have missed, that this is It is not anything that is being introduced. Please, this is in the fee structure effective 2022 January. Only that the board was not able to implement that because of the technological circumstances that we were in at that time. The only fees that perhaps we should be talking about here, it is now the private candidature, the online examinations, and all that were not envisaged. But now that we have the private candidature on board, it has to be taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex, for that. Judith? 30 seconds.
Lorraine.
Yes?
It's Eda. Sorry, I did not unmute when you called my name. I have a question.
Yes.
Will there be online exams in June?
Come again?
Will there be online examinations in June?
Yes, there'll be online examinations in June. That has been
All right.
well articulated. Judith,
Or
if
it's
you're
okay.
not...
It's okay.
I've already unmuted. Also speaking.
Okay,
my
Judith,
next,
go on.
My next query is this. I had attended all my lessons in 2023. Then at some point, you guys canceled online examinations, so I did not take my exams. Will I have to go through all this again? Like, do I really have to pay for the private candidature, take the cards, to do exams again in June this year?
Alex will answer that at the end. We only have 2 people to go. Judith, come on. You can come and ask your question.
Okay. Okay, no worries. Thank you so much for the opportunity and thank you for forming this. The only request I'll have is we are focused on time, but it seems like the problems we are having go beyond the timestamp. So if we could also have a follow-up meeting, that would be appreciated. And Lorraine, just to clarify on why this is a huge deal for most of us, I'll take an example of myself. I said yes CHRM and I'm doing 6 units. So I'm doing 6 units. I still have work to do and a social life to try to catch up with. And then for CHRM, we still have cuts that we are being given and group work discussions. So with all that and adding on to this, it's a little bit too much to ask from us as students. So if that can actually be considered. The other thing is when I was registering for the HRM PEB, it took me 3 working days for your website to work. So it seems to have an issue when the traffic is high. So if we have to then go again and start doing these cuts and everything, please consider making your website more optimum so that it's a bit faster. It's easier when it's not a peak season, but when everyone is on the website, it tends to jam. Something that should take 2 minutes takes more than 2 hours. And I only experienced that when I was doing the registration. When I was first checking through the information, it was quite faster. So if that could be considered and if we could get another time for you to just continually hear us as stakeholders, because it's already almost end of February, we have exams in June and we have more than 4 or 5 changes. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Judith. We take your comment and we will be having these engagements more often. And last but not least, Stanley, before I welcome Alex and Dr. Kiragu to close the session.
Thank you, Lorraine, Dr. and Alex. Thank you for this session. First, I want to appreciate the fact that you are changing the Nairobi Examination Center. Thank you for that. Now, I have an observation to make and a question. One, allow me to begin from the progression that we spoke about it last time, and again it is featuring. Now, this progression, Daktari spoke about it, that it was a guideline from the KNQA. KNQA, as I know, are doing good job. But again, let's go down, look at ourselves. The students here, most of them have been in the industry for long. They have been through other programs, academic programs. They have done as many cuts as they could.
Stanley, Stanley, I think, has a problem with the connection, so we'll go just straight into
Lauren.
answering the few questions. Oh, Stanley, you can
Lauren.
hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
Your network, you got
Yes.
lost at some point.
Allow me to
Okay,
summarize.
you can
Now,
summarize and finish.
The continuous assessments, Lauren, for me, I think it's a way of crippling some of us, because some of us are engaged throughout the days, so that we only depend on, the only time we can get is either to attend class or sit for exams. That is the only time. Now, if somebody has that good experience in the industry, why subject me to a cut again? Why can't the cut be optional, so that if it's somebody who is fresh from maybe as a C+ is beginning the program, then that one can be subject to a cut. But for those senior guys who have been in the industry, this is just but a certification. I was very happy when CHRP came, because it was going to make the industry vibrant. But from the look of things, from the sentiments that my colleagues have raised, it means some of us might decide to venture into other industries. That is number one on the cards. And then on the progression, which honestly, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. The progression here is you cannot book a higher level unit before you clear the lower level. That one, I hear you, Alex. I hear you clearly. But now let's look at this scenario. And Daktari will agree with me. I request Daktari you agree with me on this. If today Stanley booked 6 units this semester and sat for the exam successfully, come next semester, Stanley is fully occupied either at workplace or some other assignments. So instead of moving or saying, let me reschedule the units to the next semester, let me pick those less training units so that I be at par with my plans. I think that is something that you can agree. And as Lauren, Daktari, and Alex, we are referring to the board. This board can come to us, because if we are stakeholders, can we come tell us, this is what you are thinking as the board, and then we give you feedback. We tell you from where we sit, this is the circumstance. These are the things on the ground. Because really, some of us will have difficult times. Lastly, but not least, Alex talked about the survey that was done on the exam preparedness. Alex, I wish maybe next time, let's come up with the comments. Because when you ask me about how prepared are you for exams, maybe the reason probably might be either I did not manage to attend classes, or the institution did not avail a trainer for me. When we are able to look at those details, it will at least give us a room to make an informed decision on some of these things. But sincerely, we are not doing good from where we're headed to. Lastly, I don't know, this is now a question, Lauren. I don't know how frequent do we do an assessment on these other learning institutions that are providing CHRP? Because some of them are serious business entities, that some of the students, if they can speak here, they'll tell you what they are going through. And lastly, also, I think that is where CHRP is going, is becoming a serious business entity. Because if everything is attached to money, everything, each and every comment is attached to money, I think we are not moving well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Stanley. Yes. So we hear you. We hear your feedbacks, all our stakeholders, all our students, and we value your feedback. Thank you for being here. I'll give Alex, then I'll give Dr. Kirago and Alex the chance to finish off and answer some of the questions. Then we can close the session.
So thank you, Lauren. And then I want to appreciate all the stakeholders, all our candidates, all our esteemed students who have been able to log in this session. The intention of this meeting was, number one, to get feedback from you, and then number two, to clarify some of the issues. So those who have participated, thank you for that. Even those who are writing text messages, that's fine. That's what was the intention. And now, to summarize all what the stakeholders have talked about, your concerns, I can classify them into two. Number one, you are all worried of the formative assessment, and then you are all worried about the progression rule. And I will start with the formative assessment and say that you don't have to fear so much about those formative assessment. We know that you work under strict time schedules. You are working, your parents, your brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, and you belong to church, mosques, and other societal departments. We appreciate that. And we have heard you. Probably we are going to give you feedback on those formative assessments. They may not be per unit, or rather, no, per topic, but we can reduce them per unit, not per topic, but per unit, where you just do one. And then I think nobody likes exams. We all fear exams. And number one, we had said that these exams will be undertaken, or rather this formative assessment will be undertaken at your own convenience. And then they may not need you to type. We have come up with the 4 categories of these assessments. Formative assessment, we have multiple choice answers, true and false. We also have another category of matching questions. We also have another category of short answer questions. And basically, it's not a cut as such that is accounting for like 30 or 40 or 20 or 10 marks. It is just an evaluation to get a feedback. And I've said, this formative assessment, the way they are just friendly. I'm sure you can sit for it in less than 20 minutes. And then we have had you, as I had said earlier, and we are going to revise such that they be maybe per unit. But that one, we are going to deliberate and give you an answer through emails, through the messages, just the way we normally communicate. Then about the progression rule, some of you again have raised issues on whether, the progression rule where we are saying that you must finish the lower level units before embarking on the higher level units. The feedback that we have gotten again from our stakeholders is some of you may want to have something that is showing that you're done with the level 1, other level 2, and then level 3. And we are intending to be preparing some like a transcript for this. And we can already prepare these transcripts per level when you have progression rule, where you have cleared like for level 1, then you move now for level 2, because ideally, most of us are working, but then there are also others who want maybe promotions, others want to look for greener pastures, and they felt that apart from the recommendation letters that we give, they may want transcripts per level. That is why ideally we came up with the progression rule. Then on why we are charging for the private candidates, we are creating we are dedicating a help desk for the private candidates, where somebody will be answering your emails, telephones, and making sure that you are progressing on well. And then, Pauline, again, I go back again to the formative assessment. Some of you had talked about that you are getting formative assessment from the training institutions. We value also our training institutions. They are very, very important stakeholders. We have been working with them throughout, and we value them, and we are not trying to micromanage them. All what we are doing is to standardize. And then I've assured you that these formative assessments, you should not fear them. They are very friendly. And then I've said we have had you, and we are going to revise them from per topic to per unit. I think that is
Thank you.
what I've picked from you. Maybe
Thank
I can
you so
give this
much,
chance.
Dr.
Yes.
Kiragu.
Yeah.
Let's give Alex, because I think time is really not on our side. We've stayed more than 2 hours, 30 minutes. So Alex, kindly, you can wrap up the session. And as you finish, you can just give the closing comments, and we finish.
Thank you so much, Dr. and Lorraine. First, I'd like to also acknowledge that part of this engagement is to get feedback. And in this case, feedback sometimes doesn't have to be in favor. Either way, it is feedback, and we commit to act on each feedback appropriately. Pauline Omolo, we have had your feedback, and I felt you because you even you gave feedback, you even put some emotions into it, and we acknowledge that, and we will take your feedback into consideration in the spirit of continuous improvement. We are not yet there. We can only get there together. I'd like to respond on the issue of cards. They are not tedious, and they are not, it's going to be interactive and exciting, even where you give feedback and you're able to see what other students are giving feedback, just to enable you to prepare. For me, and that's not true. I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing any feedback, which is very critical. Perhaps for me, the conversation here from the feedback we have received is on, one, the cost, how the structure of the continuous assessment, how it is going to be, and perhaps the number of questions. And these are issues that we are going to address as we onboard you. And if I can also clarify that some of these questions are actually at the end of each topic, they are going to be a blend of different structured questions. It can be a true or false question, or you pick the correct answer, a multiple answer question. Much of it will, within that. So it is something that if you pick and the system tells you it's wrong, you're able again to select another one, and then you research more and understand. It is all in the spirit of making sure that you are prepared. But it is not going to be tedious, and we look into that and ensure that it is not tedious. However, they are part of the examinations. What I do not agree with, respectively, is the idea that we are very busy people. We do not have time for cards. So then how do you prepare for exam? We can agree, all of us, we have been through education system. Even today, any senior manager out there who decides to do a bachelor's degree program, even if it's a diploma, there are regulations that govern that program. And if, for example, you go for a diploma or a bachelor's degree and you are attending class, whether online or physical, part of this is continuous assessment. I also agree with you because it also touches on the issue of the mandate. The Act provides clearly, currently the way it is, that HRM is to perform its mandate on curriculum development, exam administration, and certification, and anything coincidental to its mandate. And I remember there was an issue, and this is the issue the CEO clarified in the last session that we had, about the role of who is to certify and to conduct certification ceremony. Is it the training institution or the training or the examination board? Announced by the court. So therefore, when it comes to cuts, and once we have the element of private candidates, then this is a student who is not attached to any training institution, and they have to be guided. And again, perhaps the other conversation we should be having is, does it adequately justify maybe to have institutional candidates do the cuts, or should they be meant for private candidates? That is the conversation. But on saying that you are too busy for the cut, then how do you prepare? And perhaps this is some of the measures we're ensuring to reduce the failure rates that the board is experiencing, like in the last time, organizational change and transformation, OCD, and financial accounting were the subjects that were worst performed. And part of the feedback that we are getting is the preparation. So the question, the audit queries have been bordering around, how well are you preparing your students, particularly the training for training institutions that we acknowledge there are training institutions who are doing a perfect job, and there are those who may be doing that perfect job, and it is feedback that we have received from students. And also on the issue cost of private candidates in comparison, that one, I can assure you, if you sit down and do the calculations, it was well done, researched on. It is not as expensive as it may appear on face value, and we are not whatsoever discouraging, but your feedback is well noted. There was a question on the portal and traffic, sometimes having downtimes. We are working on that, but this will not affect the cuts. Remember, the continuous assessment, it is at your own time as a student. So we are not going to timetable the cut that between this time and that time, all students must be undertaking cuts or continuous assessment, and which would bring in the element of traffic. So on this continuous assessment, it is you at that time when you feel you are ready, you have completed that topic, you want to assess yourself, your readiness for the exam. That is when you undertake that cut. And then it is good to benchmark. One mentioned NEC, how they did their exams. But then other than benchmarking, organizations have also their own innovative or other ways of strategies of approaching their mandate. And on the issue of student support, we also benchmarked without mentioning other organizations. And we have realized that one thing that is lacking in other institutions is the support. That is why we are insisting on this support, even though it is attracting a cost element that should be, based on your feedback, a subject of discussion. And then lastly, one mentioned that they missed exam last year due to online examination hitches. Yes, the online examinations was cancelled due to audit queries on preparedness, and that's why I presented the short video on how we are going to conduct it. Such students will be able to address your issues on case by case, and we are not out to punish any other student. And that's why you realize even during examination booking, where the progression rule is affecting you from picking the number of units that you want, we are able to allow you to permit you to bypass that on case by case. And then lastly, from Stanley mentioned about attending class and sit for exams. How do you, Stanley, if you mention that you are too busy, your role is just to attend class and attend the exam, then I'm left to ask myself, how are you preparing for exam? Even the night before, the week before exams, students take leave to do revision. And it is during this time you are also to do this continuous assessment, because we are not saying you must do them during this period. Kuna mwingine atamaliza hizi assessment 2 months to exam, because at the end of each topic you are supposed to tick you have completed, then you get the cut. Na kuna mwingine atamaliza this continuous assessment a night to exam. So I'm left to wonder, how do you prepare for examinations? Then lastly, on the issue on progression, deciding, a student deciding that this is less bulky unit, so I'm going to take it. This other unit that is on the lower level is very bulky, so I skip it. We have been through an education. We can appreciate. I remember when I was in campus, sorry to give you this example and to tire you, students who were doing a bachelor's degree in commerce, they were doing a course on quantitative techniques and algorithms. Very difficult course, but you could not skip it because it was second year that you go to fourth year and then you'll go back when you have time to attend that. And I don't say that not taking cognizance into the fact that most of our students, as you indeed correctly put it, you are very busy, you are working. However, when it comes to the structure of the program, even if it is NEC, personnel, you will not do at the NEC that you mentioned. You cannot skip to a unit that is in diploma in HR part 2 if you have not completed part 1. That one, it is about the structure of the course. And lastly, on the issue, so whether the course is difficult or you consider, and again, a unit being heavy or difficult, that is relative. Another student will consider that course you are considering difficult to be easy. Then lastly, on Stanley's comments on the survey, I agree with you. And on these surveys, you talked about doing the analysis. The analysis was done. And actually, part like what we did what we call cross tabulations and correlation analysis, whereby we look at out of the 13%, for instance, who said they are not prepared, what comments did that candidate specifically give? Yes, and I want to confirm that we created room for the respondent to give any other comment. And it's from this any other comment that we were able to correlate and indeed come to a conclusion of what exactly the feedback was. Thank you, that marks, but without boring you, I wish to also to bring you up to speed on a question that we have always received on when do we receive, once a candidate completes the program, when do they get the certificate? The certificate is issued after the certification ceremony. The ceremony usually happens in 19th of October, not unless 19th falls on a weekend, with certificates issued thereafter after 14 days. And on the screen, I'm sharing what to expect that at the end of the program, you'll be issued with a certificate that looks this way. That is the certificate that HRMPEB issues. It has got security codes. And besides the certificate, you are issued with an official examination transcript. And these transcripts highlights the subjects that you undertook exam and those that you were exempted. And why we are also implementing progression rule, we have had employers and students seeking their jobs that require someone who has done a CHRP part 1. There are roles that do not require one to have completed the whole program. And what we are saying is that we can also be creating other opportunities than limiting our students to first to complete the course by ensuring that they complete on progression basis, so that then we are able to recommend you even better that so and so has completed part 1 or part 2, and they are able to perform tasks that belong to a job of this category. Otherwise, I'd like to appreciate all of you for the time you have taken. We are about 250 students. Usually we have got 1,500 candidates, about that figure who sit for exam in every series. So this is a good number representing about 15% or 20% attending in these forums. And we'll be able to disseminate this information and demystify any gray areas, and also to commit that to take into consideration your feedback and also be able to become a better organization and in carrying out our mandate of enhancing HR competence and ensuring that all of us through this CHRP certification, we become professionals and members of society that we are able to contribute to this noble profession of human resource management that is very critical, a very critical resource in driving the agenda and the economy of the country forward. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Alex. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all of the stakeholders for taking time to attend this stakeholder engagement event. Your presence and active participation were invaluable to the success of this event, of this stakeholder engagement. We appreciate your feedback, your insights, your perspectives that you've shared, and it's been incredibly insightful. So we want to close this up, and one stakeholder can unmute and pray for us kindly. One student. Any volunteer?
Dear
Yes,
Lord Jesus,
Wanda.
we bless you and we honor you. We thank you for the sessions we've had. We thank you for your grace and mercy. Thank you, O God Almighty. We pray, O King of Glory, that the deliberations that have been made in these sessions, O God, help the HRMPEP to act accordingly in the name of Jesus. We pray for all the students. We pray for grace and mercy. We pray for financial breakthrough and stability. In Jesus' mighty name, we do pray, trusting and believing. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen.
The
Amen.
meeting is over. We can leave, and God bless you. God keep you. Thank you.
Please share the recording.
Yes, we will share the recording on all our on all our WhatsApp groups, and even on the email. So we will share the recording. Thank you.
Give us feedback on the things that we have asked. Send us feedback.
Rorin,
Communicate and send us feedback.
can you be producing an e-Teams compliant receipts kindly?
Yes, you'll receive kindly. Our email addresses are there, info@hrmpeb.or.ke. If you have any request, kindly just give us. Thank you.
No way. Nini, hiyo nini? No, isha. Turn left.
Let us move.